What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Jake Podger. I am here tonight with the AFC East Summit show. Excited to be joined by Anthony and Keith, and a lot of good stuff in the works for tonight. We're going to do a little bit of film breakdown. Not so much breakdown per se, like as in depth as most film breakdowns are, but we're going to highlight some players that we think our team should take this year in the NFL draft. More to come after this. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight here on the AFC East Summit show. As I mentioned, my name is Jake Podger. I'm your host tonight, joined by Anthony and Keith. Chris, unfortunately, not going to be joining us tonight. Still trying to figure out who the hell the Patriots are going to pick in this year's draft. So had to go back to the drawing board. I know he's going to come back with some heat next week, so I'm excited for it. But guys, great to see you again. This is one of my favorite shows of the week. We did a lot of research over the last week on some guys that we think our teams could target this year. We stuck with our very specific position groups as well. So we didn't really deviate too much from that. But before we get started with all that, I want to just talk a little bit about a company that is near and dear to my heart. As you can see here, I'm wearing a little Nickel City Mafia polo. So we're officially kind of sponsored now. We have our own merch going. We're just getting started in the business here. So it's an exciting time here in Nickel City Mafia history. My cousin, John Houck, started his own company called Big Stitching Embroidery. It's based right here in Buffalo, New York. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about it. So as you can see, one second, here we go. So here's the website that he has featured. And we are actually going to be doing a special contest, a $100 gift card giveaway, if you will. Not exactly $100 in an exact gift card for the site, but $100 towards the site, basically for you to use on some different apparel here. So we got beanies, we got shirts, we got, you name it, all different Buffalo logos. And obviously probably not going to appeal too much to Anthony and Keith because they're not from Buffalo, but if you're in the Buffalo area, as you can see, we got some pretty sweet hats here with the Bills logo, chicken wing, and celery with some blue cheese on it. We got the Zubas logos, some Dingus Day stuff, which is huge here in Buffalo. And pretty soon, guys, we are going to have some Nickel City Mafia merchandise featured on here. But we are running a little contest, as I mentioned, to get $100 towards this site to use. All you have to do is join our Discord channel. So you'll see it in the description below. If you click on that link, you can join our Discord. There's a separate tab specifically for the embroidery apparel giveaway. You're going to click on that tab, just say hello, say what's up, engage with us a little bit on the Discord there, and then you're entered in to win. So we'll be announcing the winner on Sunday, March 10th at the night show, the 9 p.m. show on Sunday. So I'm really excited for that. And obviously, it's a little cool thing we can do to give back to you guys is just a thank you for joining our Discord and helping support our community. So again, big shout out to Johnny Houks. That's my cousin. He is helping us out a little bit. Going to be doing some Nickel City Mafia merch, and he does all this other great stuff. He does tumblers, dog wear, St. Patty's Day wear, stuff like that. So pretty cool. And yeah, that's about all I got. But fellas, now for the real deal. Let's get into some draft talk. It's been a week. It's been a week. Keith, how we feeling? After doing a little bit of research, I want to get your thoughts first before we really dive in. But I know you were very adamant about taking an offensive lineman in the first round, yes, and throughout the draft. So throughout your research, have you found some really good prospects that you're like, listen, if we don't take this guy, I'm going to be really upset?
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes who, I looked at that I absolutely love. In this draft. But I said it before, I'll say it again. The Dolphins don't have an interior of the offensive line right now. They're the three guys who started the season with them last season are free agents. Isaiah Wynn, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, they're all free agents. So the Dolphins need to lean heavily into this position. So that's the position I focused on. And I'll tell you, I haven't ever really gone as deep into this as say Anthony does. Anthony's a pro at this.
Oh, he is.
But I've never really done this before, but I had a hell of a time doing it. I love offensive lines, and watching guards and centers just bashing skulls in the trenches.
Nothing better, man.
So much fun.
Listen, you win games in the trenches, and, Anthony knows a little bit about that himself. The Jets have one of the best defensive lines in football. I saw Quentin Williams. I saw they voided some contracts, Anthony. Quentin Jefferson was one of them.
Yeah, it wasn't so much they voided it. The Jets are, we have a lot of players that we need to re-sign, and we don't have a whole lot of cap space. Mm-hmm. So, there's some void years tacked on to the end of some of these contracts, like Jordan Whitehead, like Quentin Jefferson. I expect a few of these guys to be back, particularly Quentin Jefferson, definitely Jordan Whitehead. And some of the other contracts I imagine are just going to, be let go, Dwayne Brown. We're not going to see Dwayne Brown again in my time, I hope.
I think a lot of people were hoping that Dwayne Brown could be like the reincarnation of Jason Peters, but it seems as the older Dwayne Brown gets, the more susceptible he is to injury and the worse he seems to be playing. Now, he was an all-pro back in Houston and even in Seattle. He was a great left tackle, but that was 10 years ago. So I hope to God that you guys get yourself in a much better situation. But I know your main focus throughout this whole process over the last week for this show was specific to the defensive line. So I'm excited to see who you have. We're going to save you for last. I'm actually going to start us off tonight. So I talked about the Buffalo Bills, right? Needing a weapon for Josh Allen. I want them to take someone in the first round that is a wide receiver 1B to Steph Diggs' 1A, a guy that's going to eventually take over Steph Diggs' spot. I don't think Steph's going anywhere. A lot of people are making up some, rumors that Steph's going to be leaving Buffalo. He's going to get traded. I saw a thing that someone said he was going to get traded for the 4th overall pick. I'm like, there's no way in hell you're going to trade a 30-year-old receiver for a first-round pick, let alone the 4th overall pick. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So Buffalo, we got ourselves into a bit of a situation with him where we signed him to, I think it was a 4-year, $96 million contract. So we're kind of locked up with him just as we are locked up with Von Miller. And I'm okay with that. I think, obviously still having Steph Diggs, he's still a tremendous receiver in this league. Now, was he a top 5 receiver last year? He was for the first 8 games, but he's not that guy right now, I feel like. I think he's still a top 10 guy, but is he a top 5 guy? I'm not ready to say so anymore. So, I was really excited just taking a look at some of these receivers in this class. It's a very deep class at the receiver position. Going to tease you a little bit more before I get into that. I want to go to the comments section here. I always miss you guys, and I end up reading your comments 20 minutes later. So I want to get to you first before I dive in here. So looks like we got Brett out in the channel there. Brett, appreciate you joining us. Are you still on your honeymoon or are you on your way back? What's the deal? You've been sending some awesome pictures, some awesome videos. I hope it all worked out there. I know you had some issues when you first got to the all-inclusive, but thanks for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you. Mike's saying excited for this one. And he says, the big question is who's replacing Mac Jones in that logo? I don't know. That's a great question, Mike. I've seen Drake May. I've seen Caleb Williams even fall a little bit in some mock drafts, which is crazy because I think a lot of people are definitely set on him going to the Bears, especially after Justin Fields unfollowed them on all social media platforms and he started following Bijan Robinson and John Smith and Kyle Pitts. So it sounds like he's going to be going to Atlanta. Just a hunch. Pretty interesting.
That's going to be fun if it does happen, Jake.
Oh, it definitely is. I think he'd be a good fit. And I know you guys have opposing positions on Artie Smith and whether he should have been fired, whether he really got fair shot there. Keith, you're not so high on him. Anthony, I know you love the guy. He's got one of the greatest mustaches. I mean, I don't care what you say about him as a coach. As far as his mustache goes, the guy looked incredible with that. So I hope at the very least he brings that back. He's in Pittsburgh now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, got to definitely bring that
back. I think that's objectively fantastic for the Steelers after, how many years of Matt Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
I guess he's going to employ the same kind of scheme that he had in Tennessee. Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, similar type
It works
of
well.
Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense. I just don't love him as a head coach. I don't love him I didn't love what he did in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They can do better.
some guys are just meant to be offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, and that's okay. And I think they can exceed at a high level. I mean, look at guys like Steve Spagnuolo. He's having the time of his life. And if there's a way to get that guy into the Hall of Fame, I feel like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's won 4 Super Bowls, and no one better, in my opinion, than making second half adjustments that I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I didn't watch football so much back in the 60s and 70s or 80s or anything like that, but just from my observation right now, it's been incredible, especially in today's NFL with how the passing game is. So guys like that, they're still important to the team. And I think, they're just better suited for those coordinator positions.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mike also saying Anthony and Keith could get some custom work done. Yes, that is very true. Yeah. Big stitching embroidery. They're not just limited to the Buffalo area. My bad, Johnny. Terrible pitch on my end. We're still getting the kinks out. That's like my second ad run for them. So listen, we'll get there. We're going to be doing it every show. As I mentioned, guys, get into that contest. I want you to join our Discord. Click down below in the description. You can join our channel. We're chatting in there all the time. It's fun. We're doing draft talk. We're doing betting talk, fantasy football talk, even Buffalo Sabres talk. You name it. Food talk. I mean, shoot, we went on for hours and hours the other night.
And it's mostly trash talk. A lot of trash talk.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't matter what fan base you're a part of. If you're a Chiefs fan, if you're a Dolphins fan, if you're a Jets fan, you're more than welcome to join us. We just love talking ball. That's just who we are. And listen, don't miss out on $100. It's free. Come on. It's great. My dad also joining us too. Yes, mentioning we could do some other team logos. Yep, absolutely, Dad. Here we go. Brett saying the Dolphins also need to get younger in their secondary. I could see them grabbing a cornerback or safety. Yes, absolutely, Brett. I'm sure we're going to be covering that.
Brett, they went Cam Smith with their second round pick last year.
Yep.
They need to see that one. They need to play that one out. There's other positions of need other than the secondary right now. Actually, there's a lot of positions of need on the Dolphins that need to be addressed. Secondary.
The Dolphins feel like they're unfortunately they're a team that's like trying to change a tire while they're in a moving car.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Anthony. They've got top end talent all over the place, and then middle of the road talent, starter quality talent, not so much, and then bottom of the barrel talent. They've got that in abundance as well. So they need to beef up that middle area. And secondary is actually one of the few positions where I feel like they have beefed up that middle area enough to get through another season.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely. Brett also saying players who are now free agents in Buffalo, contracts voided officially. Micah Hyde, Daquan Jones, Tim Settle, Tyler Matakevich, Leonard Floyd. Also saying the rumor is Trey White is a strong cut candidate for the Bills. It would save us over $6 million. I agree. I mean, I feel for him because I was a Trey White lover, believer, you name it. And
how much dead cap, Jake?
What's that?
How much dead cap if they cut him?
I'm not sure, actually. That's a really good question. I know he signed a pretty big contract with us. Brett, you might have the answer to that. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I do know it would save us over $6 million, which is pretty big.
Not nothing.
Yeah.
I hear the salary cap is going to be $250 million this year.
No, it's gone down. It's down to like 242 or 245. Like it came in a lot lower than people are expecting. So he's going to be a lot poorer than I think we were expecting going into the year.
So instead of being like 44 million under the cap, the Dolphins are like 52 million over the cap. I'm sorry, over the cap.
Well, we're right in the same boat with you there, Keith. That's a bummer to us. Hate hearing stuff like that because how does that happen? By the way, how did they adjust that total? What is that? There's no way, right? I mean,
well, it's converting salary to signing bonuses and then just kind of bringing that out over the duration of the contract. I was watching a thing on the Saints last night who have undoubtedly the worst salary cap situation in all the NFL. They're in salary cap hell for the next 2 or 3 years at least, based on converting Cam Jordan's salary to signing bonus and kind of kicking that can down the road, and then the Derek Carr signing. It's just, and the Dolphins have been doing the same thing with guys like Tyreek Hill and Xavier Howard, and you see what you get. The Dolphins are in salary cap. They want to re-sign all these guys, Connor Williams and Robert Hunt and Christian Wilkins, and they simply don't have the money to do it. It's not a fun time to be a Dolphins fan right now because all these really productive players just going to be walking out the door, and there's nothing we can do about it.
I got an answer back on Trey White. There'd still be 10 million dead cap. But
yeah. Brett actually saying 11 million. Wow.
It's 10.369 is what it's saying. So like 11 basically.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because that's a guy you kind of bank on being here for a while, but the major injuries that he's gotten, especially at the cornerback position, I mean, he tears his ACL. He's finally just getting back to form, and it's in that Dolphins game earlier on in the year, Keith, where he tears his Achilles, and it's like,
I felt terrible for him, Jake. I felt horrible for him. I know he's worked so hard to get back on the field for the Bills.
Yeah,
he
was crying, and it was tough to watch. It really was.
Yeah.
And Sean McDermott even was crying at the presser afterwards because he's like, there's no one that worked harder to get back than Trey White. And finally, we were starting to see the old Trey White. And, of course, he goes down with the Achilles. It's like, man, talk about now you have no explosiveness. Like, that is it. And for him, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for him to convert to safety because that's a lot of times what you'll see these corners do as they get up in age, Pat Peterson being one of those guys. But Trey White's really not a great tackler. Like, that's not his thing. So I feel like for him, he's got to be a corner. For us, I was hoping maybe you get to 31. Age 31, I'm good with that, sail off into the sunset. But he's 27 now, and his career might be done.
He feels a lot older than that too, Jake. Like,
I know, right?
27. If you'd have told me he was 31, I would have believed you.
Yeah. He came in young. I think he was 20. I think he just turned 21 when he was drafted. So pretty interesting stuff. Brett saying, imagine a contract reconversion could happen. Yeah, I mean, maybe, Brett. I don't know. I don't know how. Brandon Beane's a wizard with the cap. I got to say, that dude is unbelievable. So I trust in him. I hope he can get it done. I mean, that'd be great if we can somehow keep him on the team, but I understand if they get rid of him. But, yeah. All right, boys. Let's get right into this because, listen, we're already 17 minutes in. I always do this. I'm like, we're going to take 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. We're 17 in. Boom. Let's just get into it. So, as I mentioned, for the Buffalo Bills, one of our top needs this year, is getting Josh Allen another number one receiver, So, on our show Sunday night, Mike and I did our first mock draft together, just me and him, and somehow this young man, Brian Thomas, fell to us at 28. I don't know how that happened. But I'll take it. And if it happens in real life, so be it. I mean, that's great. That saves us some money. And we don't have to worry about sacrificing any picks or anything like that. So, Brian Thomas, man, this dude, 6'4", 205. He's a junior coming out, 21 years old. Obviously a first-round projection. I think he's more of a middle first-round guy. The fact that he slipped to 28 is just beyond me. I don't get that whatsoever.
I've seen him mocked to the Dolphins a couple of times, actually.
I have too. Wouldn't that be something? Man. Yeah. I would not like that, Keith. I would not like that.
I wouldn't like it either, Jake.
I know.
I'd love to have a guy like this in the fold, but where I want the Dolphins to go.
Oh,
and,
I do.
It ain't receiver.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, the thing with Brian Thomas, I think he's just got a really unique combination of, size and speed. He's a vertical threat. I mentioned just the acceleration. He moves fluidly. What's great about him is a lot of the tape that I watched of him, I didn't realize how often he actually was in the slot. So he could play outside, he could play inside, and he's a vertical threat from both, which, I mean, shoot, I'll take that all day. That's like Gabe Davis, but faster and more sure-handed. So I'll take that. That's what we need. And what really impressed me, too, were just his ball skills. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I saw with his tape. 1 second here. I got to somehow get to it. Let's see.
Jake, I think this is the kind of guy that he's going to get to the combine and he's going to start running and jumping and he's going to win the Under Armour Olympics. And
I agree.
He's going to vault himself into the top 15 of this draft.
I couldn't agree more, man. Yeah, I think he is that dude. And we're going to watch a little bit here. So I put together a couple of highlights that I got from the tape that I watched. So this is against Florida here. I'll go back here 1 second. So he's down here at the bottom. You're just going to see him fly. This is the top end separation that I talked about a little bit. I mean, you just see this dude somehow get wide open. Here he is on a little Little pitch and run for a touchdown here.
That is a really nasty cut. Like that first, like that ability 6'4" to just take a step in and immediately.
Yeah. And again, you'll see him just make a nice contested catch there. Just make a play. I mean, that's what he is, and gives Josh Allen a large wingspan and just the ability to go up top and do his thing. It's amazing, man. And just check this one out here. This is pretty impressive too. Again, contested catch, great ball skills, great job coming down with it there.
You know what he
Brian
looks
Thomas
like
Jr.
He looks like AJ Green to me.
I like that comparison. That's a great comparison, actually, Keith. That's definitely similar height and weight too. So I can see it. I can definitely see that. Yeah. Yeah. So Brian Thomas Jr., fellas, that is my that's my first option there. Gonna go to my second option.
You might have to trade up to get him.
Yeah, he's not gonna be there at like 3.
Like I said, the fact that he was there at 28 in our mock draft is just insane. I don't see it happening. I would love it if it did, but there's no way. There's just no.
I mean, this class is nuts, like in terms of like top end talent, but like there's legitimately 20 players that belong in the top 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This year. And
I was looking at a few mocks today too. In the top 10, you've got at the very least, you've got 8 guys going in the top 10 on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yep.
You might see a defensive player sneak in there, like a Dallas
Turner.
Yeah. Dallas Turner. But I think for the most part, you're seeing 9, maybe 10 guys going on the offensive side of the football in the top 10.
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
What's even more ridiculous, too, when I was looking at these receivers, this class, they are physical freaks, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all these dudes that are projected to go in the first round, you're talking 6'3", 6'4". Xavier Leggett, so initially was listed at 6'3". He goes to the Senior Bowl. He measures in at 6'1", 223. So 4 pounds less, 2 inches shorter. But that doesn't matter to me. And I'll tell you why. This dude plays well above his size. Physical freak of nature. This is like, to me, it's like DK Metcalf and Brandon Marshall combined. Like, with more, I would say more of like DK's speed, Brandon Marshall's physicality. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm biased a little bit because I'm a South Carolina fan. So I was really able to watch him a lot this year. I watched a lot of South Carolina games. And, God, just the stuff that he did. One of the tapes that really stood out to me was the Mississippi State tape. I think he scored 3 times in that, had over 200 yards receiving. You guys will see in some of the highlights that I have of him. I mean, he's just different, man. And that little burst that he has, he's a yak machine. He has just a second gear that no other receiver that I've really watched tape on has, in my opinion. I love it, man. I am so here for it. If the Bills take him at 28, which I think is very possible, I will be beyond ecstatic. And I know I've taken him in a few PFF mock drafts, and I always take that with a grain of salt with the grade that they give you. I've gotten like a C- for that grade, which I do not agree with at all. I don't see how he's not worth a first-round talent. First round pick, especially in a late first round. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, I was really excited to, of course, watch more tape on him. And I put together a couple of highlights for you guys here too. You could look at some of the numbers here. As I mentioned, 23 years old. He's a super senior, right? So he gets the COVID year. He was there for 5 years. I think one of the biggest knocks on him is the fact that he didn't really produce up until this year. So last year, you look at his numbers, he was more of a return guy than a receiver. So in my opinion, to see that progression, to go from just a return man to a 1,200-yard receiver in a span of a year, pretty damn impressive. And he did it at a high level, playing against some elite-level talent in the SEC. So to me, I don't see that as much of a knock, as more of like, hey, we got ourselves a late bloomer, which I'm totally fine with. And if he falls a little bit in the draft because of that, so be it, because it's going to pan out well in the NFL. And if the Buffalo Bills get him, you better believe Josh Allen's going to be licking his chops. So, again, let's see if we could pull up this tape here. 1 second, guys. I wish there was a better way that I could have done this. I probably should have put it all in one video, so sincere apologies on my end. But you're going to see here the very first highlight that I have of Xavier Leggett is actually that Mississippi State game that I talked about. Watch this play. And he's right here. He's coming across. If it plays. There we go. Maybe. Uh-oh. He's so fast, they just did still screens of it. I mean, just took it to the house. And that's that second gear I talked a little bit about. Now here you are on a little vertical.
You know what's crazy, Jake, is that he's 2 inches shorter than Brian Thomas, and he looks bigger. He plays bigger.
Right?
He's another guy that I feel like, you know, might not be available to the Bills at 28. He's just, like you said, he's different.
Very high hit, Rattler, single coverage.
Kept the audio on that one.
What I like about Leggett, more than I liked about a lot of other prospects in this class in general, is how short-handed he is.
Right.
He looks smooth catching the ball. When I watched tape on him, I didn't see him have to double catch.
Yes.
I saw him be able to just reach out and snatch the ball away from his body, which is, I mean, you watch tape of like Quentin Jefferson Johnston last year, and he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's a talent that only people with elite hand-eye coordination are capable of. Garrett Wilson can't even do that. They do double catches a lot.
He does double catch, but he makes it. I mean, he makes it work. So that's
he does. But
you're right. You're absolutely right.
If you watch it, his hand placement when he catches the ball, the one of the early clips that you had was him reaching down away from his body and just snatching it.
That was it right there. Yeah.
No. It was another shorter one. Let's see. No, you might have been right. That might have been it.
That very first or the second one that I showed, I think. Yeah. Let's go back. Right after this. Again, that's that second gear I mentioned too. You're going to see it in both of these plays. Watch him on this here. Oh, give it to me. And then he just takes off.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't break his stride at all.
Disgusting. And watch, there's a play. It's against UNC, so this is an incredible catch. But right here, this is what I talked about with the yak, the ability to run after the catch. He's going to catch this pass here, and watch him just get dirty. He doesn't go down.
That's Anquan Bolden right there.
Right? That's why I said a little bit of Brandon Marshall I saw in him, too.
Yeah.
Bullying guys, you know? And Brandon Marshall had pretty strong hands himself. I mean, you talk about a dude that would catch, 100-plus passes a year, a guy that I think should actually be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a great comparison. So
that dude used to eat so many targets. It was like 150, 170 targets a year.
So honestly,
Jay Cutler made his entire first portion of his career just looking at Brandon Marshall,
right,
firing it to him.
Yep.
I mean, even his 1,500-yard year with the Dolphins, and then another close to 1,500-yard year with the Jets with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
I loved Brandon Marshall on the Dolphins.
I forgot he played with the Fins for a hot second there. Yeah,
he was a while. He had like 4 or 5 years too.
Yeah. Crazy, man. But yeah, Xavier Leggett, as I mentioned, a guy that I've been high on since day one. I'm a huge fan. And hey, if he's there at 28, you better believe, I hope to God that Brandon Beane takes him, because dude's just a stud.
So
good.
So do you see the Bills going receiver in the first round, Jake?
I do. I think they are really set on getting Josh Allen that additional weapon. I think the only case where it doesn't happen is if something like last week occurs where you have a guy like Byron Murphy on the board where, for the Bills, we have one defensive tackle on contract in Ed Oliver this year. So it makes sense to take a guy like Byron Murphy. Now, me personally, I understand also why you wouldn't take him, because you want to maybe have a little, variety in size on that D-line. Ed Oliver himself is already pretty small. He's 6'1", like 295. So I think he's even less than that. He's like 280 something. But you get a guy like Daquan Jones, who we've had over the last few years. I mean, 6'3", 6'4", and he's like 320, right? So I understand maybe waiting until the second and getting a guy like T'Vondre Sweat to be your nose or zero tech or whatever that may be.
Just wait till you watch the tape that I have on Byron Murphy before you tell me he can't play inside.
Dude, I watched a little bit. He's
just wait.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get any of the highlights. I just got the dirty work.
Oh, I love it. I'm excited.
Nice.
I can't wait. Next up on my board here. Whoops. Skipped one.
Malachi Corley.
It's an interesting name. It's an interesting target for the Bills as well, because, I talked about my first two guys here, Brian Thomas and Xavier Leggett, more on the taller side. bigger frame, whereas Malachi Corley, he's 5'10 and a half, 215. He's more built like a running back than a receiver. And that's how he runs with the football, guys. I talked a little bit about yak with Xavier Leggett. This dude is a yak king. I put that in exclamations on there. He literally does run like he's a running back. He craves contact. And some of the tape that I watched on him, I actually went back to the Ohio State tape this year. And most of the targets that he had, they were on screen passes. But, dude, he was picking up 4 or 5 yards after the catch every single time after getting hit, which really amazed me. I'm like, dude, this guy, he would give the Bills something that they haven't had in quite some time. I mean, really since Cole Beasley. You know, Cole Beasley was great with his yak as well. I also like Malachi too because the way he works in space is really impressive. Now, the only knock I would have is the fact that he's kind of limited where the other two guys, you can kind of shift them anywhere on the field. Malachi Corley is really specific to probably the slot receiver position, but I think the Bills can really work with that. You get rid of guys like even Deontay Hardy or Trent Sherfield, who's probably not going to be here next year too. He comes in, replaces them. We have Khalil Shakir and Malachi Corley. I mean, that'd be pretty incredible. I would not be upset one bit with that. The dude's got super strong hands. He's tough as hell. And he reminds me a lot of Steve Smith Sr., guys. He's actually bigger than Steve Smith Sr., too. He's got a little bit of that separation speed, too, that I saw on tape. So really was excited breaking him down. And actually, Steve Smith Sr. came out and talked a little bit about Malachi Corley. I knew a little bit about him prior to that, but I watched Steve Smith talk about him. The way that Steve Smith praised him got me fired up. It got me juiced up. He's projected to be a second to third rounder. So this is a guy I feel like maybe if for whatever reason we don't get that guy in the first round, we can take him in the second or third, or you just add to it. You take a guy in the first, you take another weapon in the second or third. Why not? The rich get richer at that point. So I'm going to show you some tape on him. And again, a lot of the stuff you're going to see is underneath stuff, which that's kind of his MO. But I would be okay with that just because of his ability to create yards after the catch. It's really, really impressive. And I'm going to share this with you guys right now. So here we go. So this is against Louisiana Tech. So this is against some smaller competition. This is against his interconference teams here. But look at this. I mean, get off. Are you kidding me? And he takes it to the house. He's got a little burst to him, too. I mean, it's not like he's slow. And again, Louisiana Tech, he had a monster day against Louisiana Tech. Again, underneath. But here he goes. You think he's out of bounds there? He scores a touchdown. Play. Are you kidding me? And I don't care if it's not against a Power 5 school. I mean, just to do that alone is impressive as hell. This is against Charlotte. Again, not as great a competition, but still, the stuff he can do, man, when he has the football in his hands after he catches it, very impressive. Here we go, Ohio State. So this is him in the slot. You're going to see him just running wide open here, basically. And that was one play I wanted to highlight just because that was one of his deeper plays against Ohio State. And here's the touchdown. I'm going to see him get a little dirty and get in the end zone. Malachi Corley, guys. I think he'd be a nice pickup for the Bills. A dude that I'm pretty high on. Any team that gets him is very lucky. He's like this year's version of Zay Flowers, but bigger. This year's version of Steve Smith Sr., but bigger. So, he excites me. Had to put him on
looks
like me. Go ahead.
He looks like Golden Tate to me.
That's a good comparison as well. Yeah.
He's got some Golden Tate vibes.
Not the
fastest guy, but strong with the ball in his hands and lightning fast with his quick twitch ability.
100%.
I mean, I don't want to take this one away from you, Jake, but that to me looks like a Miami Dolphin.
Looks
like a Shanahan system weapon, offensive weapon. Somebody that's going to take the ball out of the backfield. Somebody that's going to take a lot of slot. Somebody that's going to take some quick screens. Like, they're going to have to replace Tyreek someday.
I agree with you, Anthony. He's got that vibe to him. But the last thing the Dolphins need is another smallish wide receiver. They need
smallish. Man's 215. You go call him.
He's stocky, man. He's stocky.
There's a reason Brian Thomas has been mocked to the Dolphins because he's a bigger wide receiver that can go up and catch a football. The Dolphins don't really have anybody like that right now.
You really don't. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, actually, when you look at it. Yeah.
But I mean, look, if he ends up on the Dolphins, I'm not going to complain.
Okay, just to clarify.
Yeah,
I mean, if you ended up getting, so say you get your guy in the first round, right? It's an offensive lineman,
yeah,
X player, right? You have a chance to get Malachi Corley in the second round. Are you upset if the Dolphins take him there?
I'm not upset, but you know, as I indicated in our mock draft last week, I do want the Dolphins to go interior line the first 2 rounds. That's not a realistic expectation. I understand that. Dolphins probably won't do that. But if they get my guy in the first round, they can basically do whatever they want in the second round, and I'll be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's a guy I have my eye on. If they get him, I can just stop watching the draft and just be happy with whatever they get.
Sure. Yeah. That is fair. All right, this is my last prospect of the day here, fellas. A guy that I could see maybe going in rounds 3 to 4. He's probably going to be a day 3 guy, most likely. He was available in the last mock draft that we did together, and I took him. I doubled down on the receiver position. I got Xavier Worthy in the second, take Javon Baker in the third. I am pretty high on this kid. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but Gabe Davis did post his farewell video to Buffalo, so it sounds like he is officially out. So we are not going to be re-signing Gabe Davis, which makes a lot of sense. He's probably command somewhere between 12 to 16 million a year.
Yeah, somewhere Chris is rubbing his hands together and praying to the football gods that Gabe Davis goes to New England.
yeah, for sure. You already know it. But I figured, hey, let's go from one UCF receiver to another UCF receiver here in Javon Baker. 6'1.5", 208. What really stuck out to me, you look at the stats here, guys. 52 catches, 1139, 21.9 yards a catch, okay? We talked about needing a big play threat here in Buffalo and a guy that can get separation and be that over-the-top special. Here you go, Javon Baker. And I know it's not going to be the first-round talent that you want, but maybe, like I did, you double down, you double dip, and you get him in the third or fourth, and still take that number 1 guy in the first round. So, in my opinion, I think it'd be a wise move for the Bills. I like the kid's size a lot. And this dude is so, like, acrobatic. It almost reminds me a little bit about, like Brandon Lloyd-esque a little bit. The way that he would make some of the catch. Yeah.
Does
if
he
you
have
a chance,
does he have return experience, Jake?
Honestly, I didn't really see a lot of him returning kicks or anything like that. So that was definitely interesting.
No, I mean, if he did, that could be a way to kind of just get him on your roster,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think he could do it for sure. One interesting thing about him was that he actually transferred from Alabama. So he was with Alabama when they had like Devontae Smith and some of those other dogs on that team. He wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time early. He transfers to UCF. He absolutely dominated this year. Played pretty well last year as well. But this dude really shined at the Senior Bowl as well. Made a really good name for himself. Went up and got a lot of spectacular catches. His ability to track the football is really, really impressive to me. And another thing I really wanted to watch too was his route running ability. Like, I feel like a lot of these 3rd to 4th round dudes, they're not the crispest route runners, or if they are, they're just really slow, and vice versa, right? So with him, he was able, it was like kind of like watching Stevie Johnson a little bit with how he's able to sort of manipulate these DBs and they don't really know where he's going. So I was really excited by that. So I broke down a couple plays here. I'm going to show you guys. It is pretty impressive when you see what he was able to do here in just this short span. 1 second here. Find a way to somehow get out of this. It's going really slow for me. I don't know why. Here we go. Okay. And we're going to start with the Boise State game here. You guys are going to be like, holy smokes, this guy. What a stud. And I'm going to share it. Here we go. All right, so Boise State on blue turf, right? So he's down at the bottom. Watch the dude just, I mean, wow. And I kind of cut away from it quick, but I think he came down with 2 on that too, which is more impressive than it's college. Yeah. contested catches, ability to track the football. I mean, he's got it all. And to me, I just feel like he's not a first-round talent or anything like that because he doesn't have – I don't think he has the same really physical traits. He doesn't do it as well as the other guys that are first-rounders, but still, I think absolutely he looks just fluid when he catches the football. He goes up, he gets it, and again, as I said, he's just he's acrobatic as hell, man. Look at this catch. Yeah,
Great track.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Javon Baker, like I said, 3rd or 4th round. If he's available there, I say double dip. Go for it. I am all in on that. So, now that we got the sexy positions over with, let's move to the trenches. We're going to start with Keith's prospects here. Start on the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to go to the offensive lineman.
Yes.
And we are going to start with Sean Kula's favorite prospects and probably Keith's favorite center prospect, I would assume, but I'm going to let him elaborate a little bit more on that. We're going to start with Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yes, sir.
And here we go. Keith, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, so Jackson Powers Johnson, he's only a 1-year starter at Oregon, but in his 1 year, his tape just pops off. He's my favorite prospect in the draft as well. This is the guy who I want the Dolphins to go for in the 1st round. Earlier on today, I was looking at mocks, and he was actually mocked to the Rams at number 19. So it appears the word's out on this guy, and I'm not the only one who loves him. But look, he's an explosive run blocker. He can run both zone and power schemes. I've seen him, bowling guys over in the run game. I've also seen him do a great job at pulling and knocking guys off with that. He's just a mean guy. I've seen pro comparisons to your boy Eric Wood, Jake. That's the pro comparison I've seen most. Personally, I see a lot of Jason Kelce in this guy, and I know, maybe I'm being too effusive in my praise of Jackson Powers Johnson because I just compared him to a first ballot Hall of Famer. But look, I love the way this guy plays. He looks like a bigger, stronger Jason Kelce than me. He's quick, he's fast, he's athletic, he's powerful, and he can play guard or center. In an ideal world, I'd like the Dolphins to draft Jackson Powers Johnson in the 1st round, find a way to re-sign Connor Williams and Robert Hunt, have Jackson Powers Johnson play center, have Robert Hunt play right guard, and Connor Williams play left guard where he played at Dallas. And that solidifies the entire interior of the offensive line.
I freaking love it, man.
This is not a sexy pick, but this is a pick where you get him going. You get him in at center, and you forget about the center position for the next decade.
I agree. I think his ability to also get to the next level, you're going to see a little bit of this in this tape. I watched a little bit of this one. The guy just
see. I love the way he switched off on that last play.
Yep, it's impressive as hell. And I'll say this: if for whatever reason he is available at 28. I doubt it happens, right?
You know what? If he's available at 28, then the Dolphins failed somewhere because he shouldn't make it past 21.
Right? I agree, man. I mean, I think he's even worthy of an earlier pick than that. I think this is a generational talent at center, honestly. The stuff that I've seen from this kid is impressive.
Yeah. And
very impressive.
I know what Anthony was saying last week about not drafting a center in the 1st round, and I understood where you were coming from, Anthony. I really did.
Watch him work here.
The Dolphins, look at them come back and make that play.
That's the thing. The thing about him that stood out to me when I watched this tape wasn't just his blocking, and he's a very powerful blocker, but it was his situational awareness.
Impressive as hell.
He plays with like 4 eyes. He's always got his head up. He's always looking for somebody to hit. Mm-hmm. A couple plays that stood out to me, obviously I'm watching this a little bit with you guys, but when I watched this tape, things that stood out to me was they used him to pull which is not super common. It's sort of what Keith was talking about with Jason Kelsey. The difference is this dude's 6'3", 330. Jason Kelsey is like 6'2", 295.
290.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Travis, Jason Kelsey. So like,
but he's just as fluid.
I don't think that he's a. I think you can plug him in the center. I think he's a plug and play center. I think he's got more value as a guard. And if you're talking about drafting a guard in the late part of the first round, I think that's an absolutely phenomenal value. Middle of the first round, absolutely phenomenal value for a player that I think is a plug and play. Maybe Pro Bowler day one. Certainly in your rookie contract, maybe an All Pro.
As a guard or a center.
Yeah.
His awareness, absolutely. It's really like he's playing like he's psychic or something. Just go back to that one. Go back to that one. That's some of the crap that I absolutely love from his tape. Look at him just switch off, and not this one. That's the next thing.
Is it this? No, that's the same play, isn't it? Oh yeah, there it is.
He just blows that guy away, looking for somebody to hit.
I love it, dude. This is a guy that like literally, he's got a little mean streak in him too. I mean, you love to see stuff.
He's rude.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I love it.
So Anthony, I went back and looked at the centers. You don't like drafting a center in the first round, and I understand where you're coming from. But in the last 10 years, 4 centers have been drafted in the first round. 3 have Pro Bowls. If we go back 11 years to when Travis Frederick was drafted, 4 out of 5 centers have Pro Bowls to their name. And that's including Tyler Linderbaum, who was drafted 2 years ago by the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the only Pro Bowlers. We talked about Jason Kelsey a second ago. That was a 6th-round pick. Creed Humphrey was the back end of the 2nd round. You can get value at that position a little bit later on. You don't have to use the 1st-round pick on. Now, what I was talking about with moving him into guard is because guard is a more valuable position. And at 6'3", 330, he's not Tyler Linderbaum, where he's 295 or something. And he needs to play center. And he might be an all-pro center, but he's only going to be a center. A Creed Humphrey or a Joe Tooney or something like that. That's the kind of size that we're talking about
here.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Anthony. I really do. But man, I want the Dolphins to have this center, this quarterback of their offense, this guy that plays with 4 eyes, who's able to pick up blitzes as easily and readily as he does. And a guy with a mean streak, a guy that's going to instill an attitude to this Dolphins offensive line.
For sure. This
is the guy I want the Dolphins to take at the center position, put him there, leave him there for 10 years, and just enjoy. This is what I want the Dolphins to take in the 1st round. He's my favorite. He's my favorite player in this draft. Outside of your Marvin Harrison Juniors and your
of course
your obvious top tier guys. He's my favorite player in this draft.
Yeah, that was the Civil War game, the classic Civil War game between Oregon State and Oregon there. Yeah, great tape though. Cool. I mean, man, that was I mean, just you saw some of it right there, right? I mean, that dude he's different. He's different. That would be a great get for you guys, Keith. And dude, like I said, if for whatever reason he somehow slips to 28, I think the Bills got to even have a conversation like, shoot, maybe Mitch Morris in the future, right? He's going to be retiring soon.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure on Ryan Bates. I know Sean Kula, our guy from Red, White, and Bills, really wants him. He says the Bills will fail if they don't draft him. So I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
I might have to fight Sean Kula. He pointed out on the show last week, that he won Jackson Powers Johnson. I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, is this guy serious? No. Is he freaking serious? All right, next we have Zach Frazier. So if the Dolphins don't draft Jackson Powers Johnson, who henceforth shall be named JPJ for me. Jackson Powers Johnson is just too much of a mouthful.
Agreed.
So JPJ, not to be confused with JPP, Dolphins legend, Jason Pierre-Paul.
How long was he there? A week?
Yeah, he was there about, he was there for a cup of coffee and then
I love it.
And then, he left. Coffee got cold and he left. Yeah. But so Zach Frazier is next. Zach Frazier, stout. He's built more like a center than I'd say Jackson Powers Johnson is. JPJ. He's another smart guy. He's another guy that's really great at picking up blitzes. And that's who you want quarterbacking. That's who you want quarterbacking your offensive line. Yeah, so he was only a 1-year starter, and actually, that's kind of a trend for a lot of these centers in this draft. They were only 1-year starters, which I found to be kind of interesting. But he's an athletic. He could also play guard in the NFL, like you were saying, Anthony. But he's got enough athleticism. I wouldn't say he has elite athleticism the same way JPJ does. But he's got enough athleticism to be able to pull and get to the next level. So if we could just play a little bit of tape here, Jake.
Oh yeah.
This guy plays with a lot of power, a lot of leverage. Yeah, very nice.
Here we go.
And there he is going to the next level. But right there, he kind of got stymied by that linebacker. So I just say he's a tier below JPJ. Really like him as a prospect, and he might make a little more sense if the Dolphins are looking to draft just a center. If we're talking about Anthony's philosophy here, if they're looking to draft just center, maybe he makes a little more sense for the Dolphins than JPJ. But I think this guy fits their zone blocking scheme.
Love that. Look at that.
Yeah. And look at him bowl right through here.
Ooh,
he cleared the way. Cleared the way. I love that play.
Yeah.
So, this guy's a pretty good prospect for the Dolphins. If they miss on JPJ, or if they go in a different direction, drafting Brian Thomas or one of the defensive tackles, maybe they go with this guy in the second round. But again, I've seen him mocked to the Lions at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen him go to actually as early as Pittsburgh, which I was really like, whoa, that's early. But you never know. Sometimes it's random with those drafts.
Yeah, but I didn't see Tyler Linderbaum going as early as he went to the Ravens a couple of years ago.
That's true. Yep.
I thought he was going to last to the second round. He was a guy that I liked a lot for the Dolphins, Tyler Linderbaum. And I thought, maybe if he lasted the second round, maybe the Dolphins would get a shot at him. And lo and behold, they didn't, because the Ravens are always the smartest team in the room for some reason.
I just don't understand. They are. I mean, they're just fantastic at drafting. You got to say, there are several franchises that just don't miss, and I feel like the Ravens are one of those franchises. I mean, even Justin Madubuike in the 5th round or 6th round or whatever it was.
I know.
I mean,
it's annoying, isn't it, Jake?
We say that, but then they draft guys like David Ojabo in the first round. You never hear from him.
That's fair. Well, we knew the injury history was there, so it's
you're
I
actually like that pick when they made it.
Yeah,
it was a bit early.
It was
tight
a little
ends.
early. They don't miss on tight ends. I could definitely tell you that.
Do you know why? Because they draft 2 a year.
Yeah, well,
the same year they got Andrew, they drafted Hayden Hurst. They missed on Hayden Hurst. We're all fine with that because Andrew hit. Right. They missed on Kohler, but they got Isaiah Likely. We're fine with that because they draft him at appropriate times, and they draft him in bulk.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Man, I mean, it starts with Ozzie Newsome. He kind of delegated the tight end to just be elite at all times in Baltimore. So it makes sense.
So I like Zach Frazier a lot.
Yeah, this is a good tape too. I think this is obviously you're watching him go against Penn State. He's going against some really good defensive linemen there at Penn State too. So this is always good to watch. Obviously you're going to see some of the losses here too, but
let's
see him work a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to say, I mean, obviously he's not quite to the level of Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yes.
But would be a very good option for you guys, Keith. I'm all aboard with this.
He would.
I think one thing you pointed out, you want a quarterback for that offensive line. This kid is so freaking smart. I bet he scores in the 40s on his Wonderlic.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I also don't view him as playing as mean as Jackson Powers Johnson. And that's kind of the identity that I want the Dolphins offensive line to adopt here, a meanness.
Yeah.
I'm going to highlight Cooper Beebe later on in this segment. The pro comp for Cooper Beebe for me is Richie Incognito, a guy who I absolutely loved when he was playing. Yeah, I know, Anthony.
Minus the off-field antics,
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but you know what? When he was with the Dolphins, I loved him. And, Bullygate and all that stuff, I have my own opinions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the different time and place.
Yeah, of course.
But I love Richie Incognito for the attitude that he gave to the Dolphins offensive line. A very don't mess with me attitude. And some would call it dirty. I call it mean. So next we have Cedric Van Pran. Really like the kid. Really like what he did at Georgia. He was described by everybody in Georgia as just a great leader, which is something the Dolphins could use along the offensive line. He's thickly built. I think there's a little bit more room to put some weight on there, and he's kind of a quick twitch athlete. He gets to the next level more seamlessly than probably JPJ or Zach Frazier. He's probably a little quicker, a little faster than those guys, but you're going to see there's some awareness issues that I don't love with Cedric Van Pran, and we'll see that in the tape coming up. He's not as great at picking up blitzes from what I've seen, and you can see right here.
Yeah,
he kind of lines a guy up before he hits him, and this guy kind of takes advantage of him on that play.
I feel a lot of times with these. Well, he's also, you got to remember too, he's 6'4".
Yes.
A lot of times when you have a taller center like that too.
Yeah. So perhaps he's more built for guard as well.
And I'm not saying I'm against it. Mitch Morse is 6'6", guys, and he could do it. And I think there are guys that obviously, even with their height, can still thrive at that position.
Yeah.
But I find at times, with that height.
See right there, that play right there, he missed the blitz.
Yeah.
There was a guy coming right up the middle, and he, instead of blocking that guy, he double teamed the tackle to the right. These are the kind of things, and he gets to the next level. What's that?
For stuff like this, we don't know what the protection was called.
Right.
That's true.
Like for really obvious things like that, like, oh, he should have done it. Like, was the protection set that way? Did the guard block the wrong guy? Did the guard coming off the left side block wrong? Did they identify the blitz at all? Like, when I'm scouting interior offensive line play, I'm looking to see how well they hold on to the blocks they are on.
Yeah.
So far, so good, really. I mean,
he got wrong-sided a couple times. Like, he got his, especially early on, like right there.
Yep. I got
you gotta seal that block.
He's not the brick wall that I'm looking for in a center. And you also have to take into account the fact when I say that I want a bigger, stalwart type guy, that's after watching half a season of Liam Eichenberg get pushed into his lap constantly. And then, center gets pushed into his lap, the ball comes out high, Tua throws interceptions. He threw 14 interceptions this season. And some of them were on Tua, bad decisions and such like that. But a lot of those interceptions came after Connor Williams went out for the season. And you can just see Liam Eichenberg was just not up to the task of protecting Tua. Guys getting pushed right back into his lap.
He seems kind of top heavy.
Yeah, he definitely is.
So, like, he needs to build that lower body because he
that's
is.
What I'm saying. There's room to grow here, Anthony. There's room. There's room in that frame to put on some muscle.
Of course.
So I like this guy. He's more of a third or fourth round pick, in my opinion. I don't see him. I don't want him in the second round. I certainly don't want him in the first round.
Okay.
And the Dolphins don't have a third round pick right now. If he's available in the fourth round, the Dolphins haven't taken a center yet. I'm okay with going for this guy. But we kind of saw a teardrop with every player that we've had profiled here, from JPJ to Zach Frazier to Cedric Van Pran. We kind of just saw a first round talent, then a second or third round talent, and then a third or fourth round talent with those guys. And it just highlights even further how good Jackson Powers Johnson was at his job.
Yeah.
And highlights even further. I see tape like that. It makes me want some. It makes me want him all the more. I'm going to be crushed when the Dolphins don't get him on draft night.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what, Keith. I think this young man is a Miami Dolphin. Okay.
Yes.
Cooper Beebe.
Yes, sir. So this is another guy who's just mean. He's got this mean, nasty streak in him. He's built like he's this big barrel-chested dude. He's built like one of those world's strongest man guys. He's built like Magnus Carlsen. picking up that friggin' stone and putting it on the block or whatever, pulling trucks. That's what this guy's built like. He's just a road grader. Now, athletically, he's a little bit limited. He's not going to be the kind of guard that you want pulling all that off, and he's not going to be the kind of guard that you want going to the next level. But you know what? You are not pushing this guy into his lap. Not a chance. He's thick. He's stocky. Some would say he's a strapping young man. And I did see that in his.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you
like,
put that in there. I'm like, I can keep this in the.
Yeah, that just made me laugh. He's got violent hands. He won't be pushed around. He does the pushing around. I've seen. So in some of the tape I was looking at, he was Magnus Carlsen plays chess. Oops. All right.
You mean Magnus or Magnus
Samuelson or Magnus?
You know what the worst part is? I agreed with you.
Yeah.
I'm just like rolling in my head. I'm like, that's not the Magnus he's looking for.
Is it Magnus Samuelson I was looking for?
It might have been Magnus or Magnuson or
Eddie
Hall.
I don't know. Like I used to watch the World's Strongest Man competitions when I was a kid, and all those guys seem to have the same name.
Yeah,
they're all these Nordic dudes. But yeah, but that's what Cooper Beebe reminds me of. This guy's just super strong at the point of attack. He's not going to be pushed around. He's going to be the one doing the bullying, doing the pushing around. Ed Oliver is going to line up against Cooper Beebe, and he'll be neutralized all afternoon.
All right.
Now, that seems a little strong, but Quentin Williams certainly will be.
Hell yeah.
Good luck.
Well,
I hear you. But now this guy's built, 6'4", 335 pounds. It's just
he's a thick boy.
It's almost not fair. He's also a really smart guy. He's good at recognizing and picking up blitzes. A lot of the tape I saw of him had guys doing stunts on him, and he was rarely ever fooled. So, this is the guy, I think he could sneak into the beginning of the second round. Dolphins pick at 21 and 51, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. I don't think he'll be there at 51. If he is, the Dolphins either run to the podium and turn in the card. The only real knock I saw against this guy is that he's not the most mobile of guards, which, the Dolphins running the zone blocking scheme, it doesn't feel like too much of a scheme fit. But again, I'm trying to instill an attitude with this Dolphins team, an attitude of meanness, an attitude of toughness, an attitude of don't mess with us. And Cooper Beebe, Jackson Powers-Johnson, these two, if the Dolphins get these two guys in the first 2 rounds, I am over the moon happy. And, you've got the foundation of an offensive line with those 2 guys that can last for the next decade. And, it's a foundation that could, prove to be a top 10 offensive line, which is something I haven't seen from the Dolphins in well over a decade.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm just pulling up all of your clips here. There's quite a few.
I know.
I'm making sure I get them all here. So I'm going to start with this one. And forgive me, guys. This is you did a good job here, Keith. I appreciate. At first, I was clicking on them. I'm like, this is all the same tape. Like, where we, but no, this is you clip them at different spots. So here we go. This one right here. This is against Kansas State.
This is against Texas.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
So number 50,
Kansas State, Texas. Yes.
Yeah.
Kansas State, Texas. Yes.
So number 50, the left guard, is who we're looking at here.
Come on now.
This one's a little different where they don't circle him before the for the play starts.
Yeah. Here we go.
I think we have some of the same because I used Kansas State for Texas.
Oh, really? Yeah, so there he was pulling, and he made a nice play there.
Yeah, I liked it. Let's see. Let's watch this.
Yeah, there he is.
There we go. Yeah,
nice
baby.
pull. And again, he has enough athleticism to make plays like that. I just don't think you want him at the next level too often. Right there, he held up really well in pass protection.
I'll highlight it with my mouse while we're going here. Yeah, I mean, he's
just pushing guys back, bullying guys.
He's always looking to finish, which I really appreciate about a guy. I mean, look at him.
Look at him. Look at that.
Yeah. He's a mammoth human being.
I'll say this.
He's got that arm strength too. I love it.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. I don't think Kansas State has the best offensive line outside of Cooper Beebe. A lot of these, there's a lot of missed blocks on this offensive line, but you know what? Cooper Beebe always does his job.
Yeah.
And always finishes off his blocks.
Let's see it here. Oh, he got him up top. I'm going to stop sharing this one. I'm going to go to the next one here.
There is a play that
I
don't know which one it is, Jake. And I'll do a better job of this next week.
No, it's okay.
As I adjust the new world order here, but like, there's a play that kind of shows off that he's not the most mobile guy, and I think a Texas defensive tackle was able to come down the line because Beebe didn't have the athleticism to kind of get in front of him, and he's able to come down the line and make the play on the running back. Which is, plays like that are the reason why Cooper Beebe's dropping to the second round.
Is that the play you're talking about a little bit? Hold on.
Yeah.
He makes the tackle on this play.
Yeah, that might be it.
Go back a little bit. Here. Oh, you're not even seeing this. Hold on. I'm sorry. No. I'm just looking. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties. Let's see if we can find it here. Doing it on YouTube, I gotta say, we'll definitely on the next one here, we'll clip them all up, put them in an actual video file, because sometimes with YouTube, we get the buffering issues, and it just takes... Oh boy.
Well, look, we
might not. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop sharing that one.
We'll move on to Anthony's guys, but
okay.
Point is,
we got a couple tape on him. Well, got some tape on him at least.
Point is, Cooper Beebe, really nice prospect. Really like what I saw on tape. He dropped to the second round because athletically he's a little more limited than you want your guard to be. But there's other guards like Talise Fuaga. We're going to go in the first round easily. They're projected to be guard / tackle in the NFL. Cooper Beebe's in that next tier down, but he's a guy that, I would love to see the Dolphins take in the second round.
How old is Talise Fuaga? That's the real question. Me and Keith were talking about this. There is no age confirmation on this man. We need to see the birth certificate.
Yep.
No idea. We just know he's a mammoth of a human being.
He could be 45. Who knows?
Right?
I mean, he wasn't born in Cuba, okay?
That dude is an anchor for an offensive line. I got to say, I watched a little bit of tape on him. I didn't realize, I know you said it, but I didn't see it because originally you were going to take and look at Talise Fuaga. It looks like we lost Keith for a second there, but that's okay. Mike's saying, watching the show on the desktop is the way to go. Get to see all the film clearly. Great work, guys. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Anthony, I'm going to dive into your prospects here. And let me pull it up. And there's Keith. We got him back.
Sorry about that.
Keith, you good?
Yeah, I think I dropped out on you guys. I think I clicked something by accident.
All good,
That's
man. All of us having some technical difficulties today. Me just because I'm inadequate, but it's all right. We're figuring it out as we go. First time really doing this film sharing stuff, which I really enjoy it.
There's some bugs in the system. We're working out the kinks.
Yeah, that's right. First time we're doing it.
It's not going to be the last one, so.
That's right. All right, Anthony. Here's your guy.
First guy I want to bring up is Byron Murphy. We were just watching the Kansas State tape against Texas. Thing that I like about this guy, first off, for me, it's his incredible motor. This dude is relentless. I couldn't find the clip because I watched it on 22 and I've watched so many games of him that I didn't remember which game it was, where he's like, he gets double teamed, knocked out of the play, gets up and still gets a sack. Like he gets pancaked.
Alabama? Was that Alabama?
It might have been the Alabama one.
Yeah.
I didn't remember if it was Alabama or Kansas. I think it's probably Alabama, but like just absolute savagery. Super quick off the line, plays with great pad level. Also one of the youngest defensive tackles, I think, in this class, if not the youngest defensive tackle in this class. It's interesting because like I genuinely think that in another year, we're looking at a potential top 5 prospect, similar caliber to a Quinnen Williams or a Jalen Carter. But in this year, that is so unbelievably loaded with offensive talent. It's just the dude's going to slip to the teens.
Yep.
And like
Anthony, I've seen him mock to the Dolphins as well.
Yeah. And that would make sense to me.
Our mock draft, you went to 28 at the Bills. I mean,
yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
No,
this draft is weird. Go ahead, Keith.
No, I don't see him lasting to 28. Like, not in a million years.
No.
Even 21 feels like a stretch. But honestly, if he lasts to 21 with the Dolphins, I'm not upset if they take him, even if JPJ is on the board. You know, this guy's a really good player.
Yeah. Absolute phenomenal player. I like that you list he has a strong swim and rip move. We're going to watch both of those. I don't think I have any of this clips of him getting a sack. A lot of this is just his effort on run plays. And what I want to pay attention to specifically is how he's being deployed. So let me go ahead and I'll share my screen.
Go for it, brother.
All right. Can you guys see my screen now?
No.
Not yet.
All right. Let me see if I have it.
There we go. Add it to the stage. There we go.
There we
All
go.
right. You guys can see me now? Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. First thing I want to pay attention to is his spot in the alignment. You'll notice he's in the nose tackle position.
Yeah.
This is one of the weird things that I noticed from I think most of the clips that I have from him aren't even in the 3-tech, they're in the nose, where he's like shaded on either side of the center and scheduled to get the double team. And part of the reason I wanted to show this was part of the reason I think Jake was talking about, well, they just want to get a big fat 2-gapper. Texas used him as a 2-gapper, but I thought they had Devondre Sweat, who's 330 pounds and 6'4". No, they used Devondre Sweat in the 3-tech to use this guy in the nose tackle a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that is crazy.
Boom. He gets doubled, still makes the play in the run. Now he gets moved, but look at that. As soon as the center moves off the double, he sheds the guard, closes the gap.
Oh, man. Beautiful.
Special.
Like, just the effort in this play is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Next. Again, true nose. He's head up on the center. Or barely shaded off. Get in the double. Swim move.
Yeah. They score on this.
Obviously, this play goes the wrong way for Texas. Look at this. Shaded right in between. This is why I kept it. Boom. Ooh. Swims around. Pressures. Off the double. Like, all right, cool.
And Trek reviewer commenting, he does like.
There he is.
Makes the play.
Man, he's special. Listen, Trek reviewer, this is what I was saying too.
Man.
I don't think the Bills are going to have a shot at a guy like Byron Murphy. But yeah, of course, I would love Devondre Sweat. But yeah, looking at what Byron Murphy does as a quote unquote undersized D lineman, I mean, a lot to love here.
Look at what he does. Look at this. Oh. He's doubled on this play.
What?
He's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit bigger, Anthony, but he's got similar size to Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely bigger than Aaron Donald. Yeah. He has that effort though. He has that absolutely just nasty, like Fletcher Cox. Cox.
Yeah.
Look at what he does to the center. Just bullies him back.
Fletcher Cox, the anti-Jordan Davis.
Like I can't take my eyes off of his tape.
Jeez,
like he's so much fun. This is the other clip that I have from Houston. He just takes the guard for a ride.
What the heck,
man?
Look at this. How does he make this play? I mean, that's just
patient. Just patient. I do not love a prospect capable of doing stuff like that. Like
He's special, man.
He's as high end a first round prospect as I would say there is in this class.
For good reason, man.
Remember, again, like I told you when I watched Tavondre Sweat, he popped to me, and what are you gonna do? Like I haven't been able to take my eyes off of him since then. Absolutely one of my favorite prospects in the draft. I don't understand how he's even falling out of the top 10 right now. I get it. This is an offensive class. It's phenomenal, but this dude is going to make somebody real pleased with their pick in the teens. If he ends up on a team, if he ends up somewhere in the 12 to 15s with a team that just barely made it out of the playoffs, that's ready to go, like, watch out. Just watch out. Cool. With that, next prospect I want to watch is a guy named Brandon Dorless.
There he is.
I watched this dude's tape, and you'll see him. He has surprising explosiveness for a guy that's 6'3", 270. He has very violent hands. Very rarely does he let an offensive tackle get into his pads. He's super quick off the snap, and the thing that's going to separate him between like a Murphy who has just unbelievable effort and tools, and a Brandon Dorless who is more, I think, bendy, a little bit more flexible, a little bit more can play the inside or the outside game. But I mean, he's the kind of guy. This is a guy that's a little bit more. I comp him, and this is a bad comp, but like somebody I liked last year that wound up making a big impact this year was a guy named Dante Stills. Dante Stills played at West Virginia last year. It's about 280, 6'3", about the same size as Brandon Dorless. Went in the 6th round. I noticed him when I was watching Shrine Bowl practice tape last year. Big effort player, very bendy, very flexible, very able to make plays that guys his size shouldn't necessarily be able to make. But maybe not as powerful and able to do so. This is going to be your 3-4 defensive end, your 3-4 5 tech type player.
Yeah.
He can 3-tech for you. That'll be fine, but he's going to be in that Aaron Donald-ish kind of mold. You're going to want to play him more hybrid, like you have it listed, defensive end, defensive tackle. But man, let's go ahead and watch some of his tape because I only have 4 plays of it, but I think I made the 4 of them count. Give me 1 second. I don't think I share screen. Yes.
I was going to say he's almost like a shorter Eric Armstead, a former Oregon Duck.
There you go.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
Because Eric Armstead's 6'7". He's not quite that tall, but he's like similar build, similar play style.
And you know, I don't know that I like defensive tackles I don't know that I like defensive linemen to be as tall as Eric Armstead. Like he makes it work. Yeah. But I think, you know, this guy's size, 6'3", 272 that Anthony had listed, that's kind of an ideal size for a 3-4 defensive end.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. It really is, especially in today's modern game where like they are expected to rush the passer more than they were back when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Oh, my bad. Let me pull this up.
Motion. Uiagalelei loads up and throws, and it's incomplete.
DJ Uiagalelei.
Silas Bolden in motion. Uiagalelei loads up and throws, and it's incomplete.
I don't know why. Yeah, he's down here just shedding. You watch the very end of this play. The reason why I have this play in here, it's weird. He's right down here, but this is a classic stack and shed. So he's stacking his man right here and waiting for the quarterback to decide where she's going to go. The moment he realizes this is not a run, this is definitely a pass, you watch him shed the tight end, rips him down, and gets up.
Uiagalelei loads up and throws, and it's
almost
into Silas Bolden in motion. Uiagalelei loads up. Silas Bolden in motion. Uiagalelei loads up and throws. Silas Bolden
I like
loads up
that
and throws,
awareness.
and it's incomplete. It's the explosive Silas.
Try not to do a barrel roll, by the way, too.
Loads up and throws,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
in
do a barrel
Yeah.
roll. He's a guy. That's a guy in the draft
in
server.
motion.
He's a big
loads
time
up and
scout.
throws, and it's incomplete. That's the explosive Silas Bolden in motion.
Here he is getting to the backfield
loads
almost
up and
immediately.
throws, and it's incomplete. That's the explosive Silas Bolden in motion. Uiagalelei loads up and throws, and it's
Right.
The other one
incomplete.
going. Here, I'll mute that.
Lineup, I guess, as a nose. I mean, he's right in between the guard and the tackle, or the guard and the center.
Anthony, you're still sharing the initial clip.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, that's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
Listen, I did the same. I wasn't even sharing anything. So, here we are. Working through the kinks here, guys. This is the first time doing this here, so we're figuring it out.
Okay. Give me one sec.
I'm excited, though. You got me in the anticipation. It's there.
All right. Let's see. Is it this one? All right.
There we go.
You seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So here he is lined up in the nose, one tech right in between the guard and the center. This guard is supposed to down block him, never touches him. Immediately out of his stance.
Yeah. Jeez.
That is, I don't like to curse, but that is a no shit moment.
It definitely is. It certainly is.
All right. Next clip I have. Are you guys able to follow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here he is playing stand-up 7 tech. Right down here.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sheds the tackle, gets in on the run stuff. Like, this is what I mean by he doesn't really let tackles get into his pads.
No, not
He
at
uses
all.
his hands, which is way more advanced than a lot of defensive linemen at this, that especially that are going to be available when he is. And this is just a straight rep against Fuaga, where he just, again, outside defensive end, good side swipe, side scissors, whatever you want to call them. Boom.
Beautiful.
Quarterback has to step up.
He's special too, because I feel like his wingspan, man, like that, his extension, his ability to play against these tackles, man,
He's fun, man. I
love it. I love it.
I do think he's going to be a second-round pick ultimately because this class is insane, but he's going to make an impact on day one for somebody.
Absolutely is.
You know, he reminds me of somebody, and I honestly can't think of who. I'm gonna chew on this for a little bit, but he reminds me of maybe a Carlos Dunlop coming out of college.
Okay.
You know, he reminds me of a guy that just, he's probably not going to put up gaudy sack numbers. You're probably looking at a, 7 sack a year type of guy, but he's going to be solid in run support. He's going to always be coming after the passer, getting a lot of quarterback hurries. And, that's probably why he dropped to the second round, is that he's not going to be a huge sack guy in the NFL. He's not going to be a 12 to 15 sack a year guy like J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt is. He's just Carlos Dunlap. I think that's who.
I like it.
That's kind of who I was thinking when I was watching that tape.
Yeah, and that would make all the sense in the world to me because, again, traditionally, that's not a position where you get a ton of pass rush. Usually those guys are supposed to be stout. They're supposed to hold up against the run. If you get somebody that's got a little bit of technique, that can get a little bit of pressure, that's already more value than you're usually getting out of that position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Final guy that I have.
Yeah, I don't have a slide for this next one.
Yeah, this next one is a guy that's way down draft boards. And by way down draft boards, I mean, you're going to have a tough time even like on the consensus draft board, which I think goes 700, 800 players deep. His name's not even listed. All right. So this is a guy that played 3 years. His name is
Michael Mason.
Up here a second ago. God, I can't remember the player that I had a second ago.
That's how you know this guy is down on the board.
Yeah, he's all the way down there. Let me pull it up.
Mason, right? Something. I don't even know. That's really saying something. I know mostly everyone, you know. It's just.
All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, this is Michael Mason. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about him. He played 3 years at a school called like Wofford, which I guess is a Division II school. As a senior, he transferred over to Coastal Carolina, or not as a senior, as a graduate transfer.
Wofford Terriers, I think they're called.
Is that what it is? I think you're right. I think they are the Wolford or whatever Terriers. Anyway,
of course you know that
name. Yeah, he would. I found him because so I like to mess around with stats, and I was just trolling through like PFF stats to see who the best interior pass rushers were, and a lot of them were the same guys you're expecting to see there. Your Murphys, your Johnny Newtons, your Brandon Dorlises, your Tavondre Sweat actually had a very high pass rush percentage, which is not particularly normal for a big guy. Though, as you see, Murphy ate a lot of those double teams, so a lot of one-on-ones for Tavondre. But this was a dude out of Coastal Carolina that like nobody had ever like he wasn't on anybody's prospect radar going into the year, but he had 4 years of solid production for the Terriers, and one phenomenal year as a pass rusher for the Coastal Carolina, whatever Carolina-ers.
Chanticleers.
So the footage is grainy. I kind of apologize for like that, but I also didn't pick it. There's not a whole lot of Coastal Carolina tape out there. Shocker. Certainly no all 22. So just go ahead and take a look. Tell me what you think about him. All right, so he's an interior pass rusher, number 94.
UCLA too. I like it. Power 5 school.
Look at this.
Oh yeah.
Just right along the edge, right over here, just sets the edge, forces the running back inside, boom.
Job well done.
This is just, you know, standard kind of ham and egg
get to the outside
football. Yeah, this is just setting the edge. This dude is projected to be an undrafted free agent. So we're looking at 7th round pick UDFA type player that does some pretty cool stuff on tape. Wrong one.
That's okay. It happens to the best of us.
Okay, get to this one. Here we go. Look at that.
Oh.
It'll clip back in a second. Just watch this hand technique. He's not even the first one off the line.
Yeah.
Stab, swim.
Jeez.
Stab, swim. He absolutely rocks the quarterback at the end of this play.
So is this guy going to be invited to the combine, Anthony?
I have not looked for him. I haven't looked at among the combine names, but the combine only has like 300 players deep.
Yeah.
And there's so many defensive linemen, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not.
Yeah.
You think he sneaks into the draft, maybe the 7th round or something?
I'm expecting 6th or 7th round because he is an older prospect, being a guy that's 3 years at a very small school. I would not be surprised if he I would not be surprised. I have this clip labeled as I want because he's one of the guys that I was scouting for my sim league.
Oh yeah, baby.
Look at that.
Oh,
yes.
Man.
Damn.
Now, keep in mind, UCLA put 3 offensive linemen into the NFL last year.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly is their head coach. This is not a team that is lacking talent.
Yeah.
And this is this kid from Coastal Carolina just wrecking things on the inside.
Play. Yeah. Wow. 6'3", 280, it looks like.
They have him listed at 6'3". I don't believe any measurements until I see
Yeah.
him.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe
Especially on the
40
school's
times.
website.
I don't believe in anything until I actually see these guys measured by the NFL, either in the combine or in there. I love it.
He was just dummying this offensive line, man.
Yeah.
You know what I love to see too is he can play multiple positions.
Yeah, you're going to see him play some 3-tech. You're going to see him play a little bit of 5-tech.
Yeah.
280 at that kind of size. He can play in a 3-4 or a 4-3. He's going to be a guy that's likely 4th rounder or later. I kind of see him playing similar to another Jet, Michael Clemens, where he's an older prospect, drafted 4th, 5th round, comes in, does some pretty cool stuff as a sub-team specialist. Just bring him in on pass rush downs, give him an opportunity, and then sort of works his way up the depth chart. But as far as later round prospects go, he's relatively clean technically. He shows a lot of power. Like I said, that stab swim combination is pretty devastating if you're not expecting him.
Yeah.
I
love it, man.
I'm glad you brought that guy to our attention, Anthony. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, you got me all fired up. This is great. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some more tape on this young man. Coastal Carolina, too. I claim to be a Chanticleers fan. I don't even know who the hell this guy is, right? I mean, terrible. Come on now.
For sure.
That's great stuff, man. Well, boys, you did a fantastic job tonight. I know we're getting close here, 9:34 right now. Keith's got to get himself to work. Trek reviewer coming in saying I was Cam Lewising it. Unbelievable. Still finds a way to get Cam Lewis in on this show. This guy is the biggest Cam Lewis hater you're going to find. But Trek reviewer, we love you, and we appreciate the hell out of you for coming out and watching. He's also saying, fun fact, Sweat is really 363. He's only 12 pounds lighter than Ted Washington. Man.
Doesn't look
Ted
it.
Washington. No. And you know what? The biggest thing about Tavondre Sweat, I will say this, he can move.
Yeah.
Ted Washington, not quite as mobile as...
He's a completely different NFL back then, though.
Right? Yeah. Well, Ted Washington was basically there just to stand there.
Oh, yeah.
Eat up blockers.
Am I having a fever dream, or was Ted Washington on the same defensive line as Tony Saragusa for a while for the Ravens?
No, he was with Buffalo, and then he was with Chicago. Yeah. And actually, if you guys want to watch a hilarious highlight, there's an actual clip.
You're thinking of Sam Adams, Anthony.
I am thinking of Sam Adams. Right.
Yeah, good call. He was a former Bill, though, Sam Adams, too, so I like that. Mike's saying, whoa, I see some Cam Lewis smack talk. Yeah, there's always some smack talk with Trek Reviewer about Cam Lewis. Doesn't matter. He finds a way. Fantastic stuff. But all right, guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys breaking down some film with me tonight, showing off some prospects that you think your teams are worthy of selecting and guys that you want to have your team select. So it's been a fun show. Keith, I'm going to leave you with some closing thoughts here. Any closing thoughts on your end?
No, this is fun tonight, and I'm looking forward to doing it again next week. I'm gonna dive into tight ends next week.
Nice.
See what kind of tight end prospects we can come up with here.
Yeah.
Probably not doing Brock Bowers because his tape kind of speaks for itself, and he's not lasting to the Dolphins pick anyway. So, but I'm gonna do Jatavian Sanders, guys like that. And, we'll see what we can come up with because tight end is still a need for the Dolphins. A season later, some things never change. Tight end still a need.
Anthony, we going offensive tackle next week? What are we thinking?
I am going to go offensive tackle next week. I don't know how you called it, but I like the big uglies.
I respect that. I think I might go I might do some interior D-line. Maybe I'll do a little Tavondre Sweat film breakdown.
There you go.
We get Trek Reviewer back on, I'll definitely make sure I do that. Absolutely. Got to do it for him. And for myself, because I really like the kid too. But, man, Byron Murphy, that tape was salivating to watch. I loved it.
That was so good.
Man. Awesome stuff, guys. Well, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, don't forget, join our Discord. Sign up for a chance to win $100 towards big stitching apparel and embroidery. It is my cousin's business. He made this polo. We're going to have some Nickel City Mafia merch eventually put on that site. He's working on it right now. But as of right now, it's all custom stuff. He's got a bunch of Buffalo stuff on there. feel free to check that out. And obviously, don't miss out on a chance to win a free $100 towards it. But anyways, guys, you guys have a fantastic night. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and watching us. We appreciate you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And go Bills, Anthony.
Jet up.
Keith.
Fins up.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Take care. Go Bills.